Welcome everybody to Crypto Rosetta. My name is Savage. Today we're going to be having a look at Phantom. This is going to be a lower time frame video. Make sure you check out our higher time frame video up above if you haven't already. Let's get into the charts and see what's going on. Okay, so before we jump into the mine accounts here, we're going to talk about the two main ways that we are looking at this structure. Now, within this count here, what we would be saying is that we are looking for this as a bigger A, B, and a C, and validation of this comes by crossing this 1642. Now, previously we were talking about the possibility of a rally from this point here, but we actually took this low out. So we can still technically look to push to the upside from this point of where we currently are. The thing is that because we've come down to this 0854, we need to just be cautious because the likelihood then becomes more that we're actually going to see our bearish count play out unless we actually start to see a break of some of these highs, particularly this 24.69 and then back above this level here of this 33 cents. Until we actually do break back above those levels, we need to be careful of that more bearish case. We're going to look for a direct sell-off here. Now, if we do look to push to the upside from where we currently are, 1-to-1 would be up here towards this 84 cents. And what I would be looking for more locally here is I want to see us get back inside this channel and look to actually turn this into support before looking to break back above these highs, if this is the case. And we are looking for the C wave. If we are, however, looking at the more bearish case here, what we are saying is that we could actually have this as W, X, and Y, and this would actually be our A wave completed. Now, within this scenario, there is a potential for us to push up one more time still and actually be within this B wave. And what we'd be looking for here is we'd be saying that this would be 3 waves up, 3 waves down, and what we'd be looking for would either be another 3 waves to the upside, in which case we could see an interaction with these highs, or alternatively, what we could start to do is form a 5-wave structure to the upside here, in which case what we'd be looking for would be potentially towards this 37.39 to this 32.75, except we'd be looking for a 5-wave move to the upside here. So looking for a flat correction, expanding flat, most typically would be the one that we're looking for if that is going to be the case. So now if we focus in on the ideas of what could be playing out here on the smaller time frames, what I'm looking for is that internally here, we could still have this as a corrective move where this whole move is A, this is B, and we're looking for this as a 5th wave. Now, the problem is that within this structure here, we have come down into the zone of a typical 5th wave, but we do just seem to have 3 waves here. So I'm just being mindful that within here, we could actually start to form either something like this as A, B, C, and then we start to form a 3-wave move up, and we start to form a diagonal pattern here, where we would get a contracting wedge shape to the downside, or alternatively, what we could actually have is that this wave 1 is extended, and we have this as a 2. This could actually become our 3, 4, and then we could see a smaller 5th wave here, which could still look to protect this low. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on that. The typical zone that we look for is this 1803 to the 1627. So we have come down into this already. If we do start to push back to the upside here and cross this 2464 level, then potentially this could be actually completed here, and potentially then we would be saying that possibly there was an extension in the 5th wave here. That's not my best interpretation of it. We'll have to actually see what the waves confirm with us. Now, if we're looking for this as a 5th wave, we do need to be careful of this more bearish option that we talked about in the previous video, where what we're saying is that from higher up here, we could have 1, 2, 1, 2. This could be another 1, 2 here, and effectively we've just formed a huge series of 1s and 2s here, and we could still look to break down a lot more. Now, within this idea, invalidation would come by crossing this 2261, and the most important one that I'm looking for at the moment would be this blue count that we have over here. So that's 1, 2, 3, and what I'm looking for here is the potential to see a reaction to the downside. Now, the problem is that this move as a 4th wave is looking quite impulsive too. It is very choppy on the way up here, but it could be something like a diagonal. So we need to be careful of that idea. If this is just some kind of a WXY or a WXYXZ and make it made up of zigzags, potentially this could actually look to complete in this high here. Now, if this is looking to complete here, we wouldn't really want to cross higher than this 2172, and we'd be looking for this 5th wave to the downside. Target would be this 1707 to this 1595. Now, the key thing within this idea here is that what we would then get is that this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, and then we'd be looking for an additional 4th and a 5th. Now, that rejection zone would be this 2044 to this 1835 if we push down into this blue target box. And then from there, we'd have to be very careful because, like I said, if this is a series of 1s and 2s like this would mean that what we're going to get is that price is going to push down in this 5th wave. We're going to get an additional 4th wave, which is going to fail to break above the previous 4th wave. And then we're just going to see this slowly drag to the downside and continue to sell off in this way. where we would effectively have from the yellow count 1, 2, 3 additional fifth waves to the downside, looking to actually still play out. So we need to be careful within this idea. Like I said, validation of this comes by crossing this 2261. So I'm going to keep an eye on that. If we do look to push up there, that could look to invalidate this. Now, it is also possible, like I said, that we could be potentially looking for something like a diagonal pattern here. So if we do see something like this, what I would be looking for would be the potential that we could look to find a rejection here. And I'm just going to throw this typical B wave area on. Now, if we are looking at something like this, what we'd then be saying is that we could look for a rejection here between this zone of this 50% and this 786. And what we'd be looking for if this is a diagonal is we would be saying that this is ABC to the downside, and we're looking for A, B, and C back to the upside. Now, an interesting zone for this would actually be looking to sweep these highs here. And if we do move up into this golden pocket area, this would actually align with doing so, which would be this 25.94 to this 25.47. So I'm going to keep an eye out on this. If we do form a three-wave move up here, where we get this as A, B, and then we get a C wave, which looks to invalidate that idea of this being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. What we could then see is this could still look to form three-wave structure up, three-wave structure down, and three-wave structure again, looking to complete this fifth wave. So what we want to see here is we want to see zigzags. If we are looking for this as a diagonal pattern, we want to see a series of zigzags here, looking to grind us down here. And effectively, the invalidation of this would be being longer than this wave 1, which would be currently sitting around this area. Depending on how high we come here, it would be towards this zone of this 1421. If we went up to that 618, if we come to this 50%, it would be 1330. So this would look to actually limit the length of this next wave here, which could actually look to protect that idea of this just being a bigger ABC pattern. Now, the key thing within this is that if we are looking at this potential of this being a bigger A, a B, and then looking for a C wave, if we do get this diagonal to play out to the downside, then we'd be looking for that reversal to the upside, looking for a C wave up. But like I said, we need to be careful here, because within the alternate count here, where we are looking at this as a bigger WXY for an A wave, this is a B, and then looking for a C. It is also possible that we could argue this B wave is already completed into this zone, and we could be looking for the C wave down. Now, the C wave target to the downside at this 1-to-1 level would be here towards the zone of this 1061. So if we do look to break down deeper here, potentially we could look for this continuation down towards this 1-to-1 level. If we look for this move to extend out in that 5-wave structure, as we discussed just now when we were talking about this extension. So this could align with actually pushing down into those levels. Now, even though it's not my primary expectation here, what I am looking for on the shorter time frame here, just because of the fact that we could potentially argue that we have a 5-wave structure here as a diagonal pattern, what I would then be looking for would be the potential that this move could actually complete as an A wave. And what we could see here is that we could see price actually come back down in a smaller 3-wave move. Now, if this is the case where we have a 3-wave move down here, and what we would be looking for is a 3-wave move up, which we could potentially have completed already, and we have moved up into this typical zone, this 0.854 to this 0.618 zone. If we do look to continue to push to the downside, I will be keeping an eye on this 2013 as a possible target if this is going to be a 1-to-1 move. Alternatively, if we do look to push down deeper here, we could actually look to push somewhere between this 1382 and this 1618 area. Now, an interesting zone for this would actually be this 0.382 as a support zone here. What we could see is that price could look to form a 3-wave move down into this zone, and then either look to continue to the upside, or alternatively, this would then become something like an A wave here. We'd get 3 waves up, and then we'd see that continuation back to the downside after that point. So we'd have to be careful of that idea that, even if we do see a 3-wave move down here and we look to find support, what we'd have to then see is how we react to the upside. 3 waves to the upside could indicate continuation down, in which case what we could then look to do is actually come back down lower here and test some of these zones. Possibly the 618 to the 786 would be quite an interesting area because of the fact that we have this long wick over here. It would be interesting to see if we get some price action moving down in here, looking to retest this zone if we are going to see a bigger ABC pattern to the upside. Now, the idea with this would be that if we are looking at this as a diagonal up into here, what we'd then be looking for is a B wave down and then a C wave up. Now this C wave, depending on where we come into, if we came down to this 121 would be here towards this 2405. If we push down deeper towards that 618 would be 2274. Now if we are looking at this as a wave, as a diagonal pattern, we'd have to be careful because any kind of a move past this 1618 level could actually indicate that this is becoming a bigger 5-wave structure, in which case we'd be starting to trend from this low. So this is why I'm just keeping an eye on this. If we do look to come back down here, as long as we hold this green support box, which like I said is here between this 382 and the 786, the 0.236 technically is a target for a B wave, but it is a very rare target. So it's more likely that we'll see something like a move down to this 382 if this is the case, before we look for a push up. And then we just have to see how we react from that point. If, like I said, if we just get 3 waves down, we get 3 waves up, we could look for continuation down. If we see 3 waves down and we start to see 5 wave structure to the upside, this could actually indicate we could start to push to the upside for the C wave or wave 3. Coming in here and having a look at the daily CPR lines, which we can see is we're below these central lines here, which are towards this 2090 to this 2083. If we do look to push back to the downside here, we could potentially find support again on this 2048. If we look to push through that, we have targets for today at this 2014, 1974 and this 1942 zone. So these would align with actually this corrective move looking to push down one more time. If, however, we look to find support here and we start to push to the upside, I would be keeping an eye on these targets here of this 2121. We have this 2160, 2193, and this 2233 as potential upside targets for today. Now, moving over to the weekly, because we had new weekly CPR printed, we can see this is lower than the previous one. So this is giving us an initial bearish bias here. Now, within this idea here, if we look to continue to reject off this 2118, to this 2092, this could actually align with price looking to fall away and actually come back and retest this S1, which would be the 1756. So we're going to be keeping an eye on this. This would align with the idea of this still having a 4th wave here and looking for continuation down. If we do look to see this, other targets for this week to the downside would be 1429 and this 1079 as potential downside targets. Now, moving back up here above these central CPR lines could actually indicate that we could see a little bit of a rally to the upside, in which case I would be looking for this target area here of this 2432, which would also align with coming back into these highs over here. So we're going to be keeping an eye on that if we do see price looking to push up there. If we only see 3 waves up though, like I said, we need to be careful that we could start to break down in a bigger way after that point. Other targets to the upside for this week would be 2777, 3107, and then now we're going to have a look at the monthly CPRs and see where we are with these. So with our monthly CPR lines, what we can see is that we rejected off of these all the way back here on the 2nd of August. And from then we have actually seen price just start to fall away from this. We have come down to our S1 line. We still have our S2 line below us as a potential target at this 1679. Other targets to the downside for this month is this 1061. If, however, we start to flip this zone into support, which would be here at this 2014, what we could then see is price could actually be gravitated back to the upside. Now, if we do move to the upside here, I'll be keeping an eye on these central lines here at this 2485, 2628, and this 2775. These could potentially offer us resistance. If, however, we start to make our way through these this month, potential upside targets would be this 2964. We have this 3579 and this 3914 as potential upside targets. So I'm going to be keeping an eye on this. Like I said, if we want to see this looking for some kind of a reversal here, I'd like to see this S1 line starting to turn into support here, and then starting to see some more impulsive structure to the upside, looking to challenge these central lines. Even if we do just see a move up here like this could still look to just fall away. So we'd have to watch how it plays out. If we get good structure up, we would be looking for 3 waves down, looking to hold support, and then looking for that continuation if we are looking for that bullish price action to actually unfold here. Okay, so I'm going to leave the video there. I hope you found it useful. If you did, please smash the like button, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, turn on those bell notifications so you never miss a video. Leave us some feedback down below, and in the description you'll find a link to the Discord. Come check it out, it's free to join. Everyone have a great day. We will see you in the next one. Take care.